everybody, it's Emily again from Life Enrichment, here to do another Broadway class for y'all. I've been getting really good feedback from everybody, and I just want you to know that I really appreciate it. I hope I can continue to do some more of these for you guys. Again, if you can think of any suggestions, please feel free to let me know. Any particular genres that you might like, any particular eras of musical theater you might like. I am more than happy to do some research. I love that kind of stuff. So right now I'm just gonna go into types of musicals that I like. So hopefully you'll like them too. I'm gonna start today with a musical called Honeymoon in Vegas. Let me back up a little bit so you can see on the screen hopefully. So Honeymoon in Vegas is a musical based on the 1992 film written and directed by Andrew Bergman. It was a film that starred Nicolas Cage, James Caan, and Sarah Jessica Parker. So some pretty well-known names, but not necessarily a well-known movie, but a pretty interesting story. So the music and lyrics were written by Jason Robert Brown, which if you had come to my class I did a couple weeks ago for a musical I like, James Robert Brown is one of my absolute favorite composers. He's done a number of musicals. Bridges of Madison County is one of his big ones, the musical 13, Songs of a New World, The Last 5 Years, quite a few well-known and not so well-known musicals, but this is one of his big shows that he was successful in bringing to Broadway. The script was written by Andrew Bergman. Again, he's the one who wrote and directed the original film on which the movie is based. It premiered at the Paper Mill Playhouse in September of 2013. So that's the off-Broadway theater that it started in before it moved to Broadway. And it moved to Broadway in January of 2015. Officially, that was its official opening date. And that was at the Nederlander Theater. That was the theater where Newsies had been previously. So this production starred Rob McClure, Bryn O'Malley, and the wonderful, talented Tony Danza, who I've always been a pretty big fan of. I used to watch Who's the Boss with my mom a lot when I was younger. So Tony Danza, I had a little bit of a crush on him, and he was absolutely fantastic in this. I was fortunate enough to get to see this when I was in college, and it is quite an outstanding musical. It's so big and flashy, and he really did such a great job. So Honeymoon in Vegas, it was praised by critics. It got really good reviews, but unfortunately it didn't do too well in the box office, so it ended up closing in April of 2015, so a couple months after it opened, it closed. It only had about 93 performances, so unfortunate for those that haven't seen it yet, but fortunately I was able to, and I'll tell you, if you're able to find a bootleg of it online or something, watch it. It's a lot of fun. It's got great music, great lyrics. So yeah, I'll go into a little bit of it, and you can make up your mind for yourself whether or not it's something you want to see. So what I wanted to show you today, there's not necessarily, the show was only on for a couple months. There's not a ton of clips of the live performances on there. But what I wanted to start today was a video showing the premiere. And it interviews a lot of different famous faces that are coming to see the show. A lot of them talk about wanting to see Tony Danza. So I'll let you watch that. This is the opening night, and the man that you'll see, Jason Robert Brown, he'll talk a little bit about his style here.
It's opening night on Broadway. Honeymoon in Vegas.
For you. I hope you have a big fat hit. Mwah. I love you.
Very, very exciting. Tony and all are about to crush it, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
I'm so excited. I know Jason, and I've always loved his music.
This has been a long time coming, and I think it's finally here, and I think people are really going to love it.
This is my second time seeing it. I loved it. First time. I came to first preview.
It's truly amazing. I have not seen a show like this in a very, very long time. And I see everything. You know what I mean?
It's just a lot of fun.
Let's have a honeymoon in Vegas to the city of life.
Listen, people are happy. Look at it. I had the whole taxi crew here tonight. It's unbelievable. Love may be blind, but the stars were aligned in my favor.
See about that tonight, this giving it, Shakespeare,
fun. Bergman and I started working on this 12 years ago, and what we wanted to do was exactly what I saw on stage tonight. And what we wanted to do to the audience is exactly what the audience responded like tonight. And that's such a privilege. It is such a gift.
You have been a marvelous audience.
My buddy Rocky character gets to talk to the audience. I get to see them and I'm talking to them. And I was waving to the person in the first row who I had to speak to, and it was Kelly O'Hara. So I was like, oh my God, it's Kelly O'Hara.
Oh, I've been waiting to see it for so long. You know, when we were doing Bridges, he was also working on this the whole time. And so I'm just so excited to see what he was doing with the other side of his heart.
It's different because the love dynamic is really modern, it's really crazy.
People have this release of joy that you hope anyone paying this kind of money and coming in out of the cold will leave with.
Spoiler alert, he falls out of a plane for love. Who would do that? I won't marry a guy that did that. Yeah.
Oh, do you feel that higher love? I'm talking about a higher love.
I've never been a part of a show where everyone is so in love with the piece and believes in it so much, and above anything, it's the show.
I saw the show in November. I can't believe it was off the charts tonight. He's Mr. Broadway. A Tony is in the future for Tony. No question about it.
Come on, Las Vegas. Yeah!
A little taste of the excitement of this musical.
It's opening night on Broadway.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's get into the plot, shall we? Alright, so the plot. So our lead character, his name is Jack Singer. He's played by the actor Rob McClure. And he has been dating his girlfriend Betsy for 5 years. And he really wants to marry her. He really loves her. In fact, the opening number is called I Love Betsy. And the only thing that's holding him back is 10 years ago, so 5 years before he and Betsy got together, his mother passed away, and her dying wish was for him to never get married because no woman would ever love him the way that she had. So he has a lot of hesitation about marrying Betsy. So he kind of decides that maybe a way to get out of the curse is that he's going to propose that they elope. So they decide they're going to elope to Las Vegas. Betsy's in on the plan, and they go there. When they arrive, they meet a man named Tommy Corman, who is played by Tony Danza. Tommy is a wealthy gambler, kind of a con man, as we'll learn, and he takes a liking to Betsy right away. She reminds him of his late wife, and she was somebody he had a child with, and somebody he really loved, and Betsy reminds him of her, so he decides that he is going to steal Betsy any way he can. We'll see how that works out for him. So while Betsy's off in her happy place trying to get her ready for her big wedding, she goes out and finds a wedding dress, and Tommy asks Jack to play a game of poker. Jack is really excited. He gets a really good hand. He gets a flush, but Tommy beats him with a royal flush. And Jack is now in debt to Tommy for $58,000. So basically, Tommy proposes that they make an agreement. Tommy won't cause any physical harm to Jack, but Jack has to allow Tommy to spend a weekend with Betsy, which obviously Jack is not a big fan of, not really in support of that idea, but he struggles with this. He talks to Betsy about it, and they agree that this is what they're going to go through with it. So she's not very happy about it, but she tries to be understanding of the situation. So Betsy, she's talking to Tommy, and she learns that Tommy wants to take her away for the weekend to Hawaii, which she didn't know about before. She gets angry at Jack because she thinks he's in on it, and she decides she's going to go to Hawaii with Tommy from Vegas. So Tommy shares a little bit of his personal life with her, about his son and how his son has a family now, and she decides to go. They go to Hawaii, and Jack tries to stop them. He goes after them, but isn't able to catch them at the airport, so he buys a ticket to go to Hawaii. And that is how Act 1 ends. They're on their way to Hawaii. So I'm going to show you a couple different clips here. The first clip I'm going to show you is when they were in previews. So previews are kind of almost like a trial period for a Broadway show. Usually it starts off Broadway, they do it there. If it becomes successful enough there, they'll want to try it out on Broadway. This show started its previews in November of 2014, and then it opened officially in January of 2015. So I had a couple months where they can work through different things. If they need to change the songs, they can do that. If you noticed in the video, Danny DeVito had said that he had seen it in previews, which is really exciting. So the first clip I'm going to show you is when they're in their previews. When they're in their preview point, so they're working on rehearsing, they're working out their different numbers, and it's just kind of fun to see like how things can change from that period.
It's been 5 years and I'm ready. Get the sparklers and get ready to give a wink to the waiter and summon the bigger team. Just like Jay-Z and Beyonce, I will make her my Beyonce. I love Betsy. I love Betsy.
I would like to spend the weekend with your girlfriend, Jack. What? I will be the perfect gentleman, I swear.
Are you insane? I'm not gonna lend her out.
Just a weekend, us alone, me and your girlfriend, Jack. Then it's settled and it's finished, fair as
No chance. No, look,
If you were all that anxious to get married, Jack, then you wouldn't have been sitting in that chair. So what's a weekend? What's the difference? You've got lots of time to spare.
I'm talking about a high road.
Sometimes a guy needs a gentle something, but you don't get something. You can't find something for the high road. I'm on your high road.
Open night boots with Catherine and
But you won't be a man if you can't get a high road. Maybe on high road. Maybe on high road.
So that's a little taste of a couple different numbers, and then I'm going to show you another clip here. Okay. So the next one I'm going to show you is a little bit of the first number. You just saw a little bit of it there as well, called "I Love Betsy." This is one of my favorite numbers from this musical. It's just so cute, and it's very quirky, the different descriptions that he's giving, all the things that he likes compares to the one thing that he loves the most, which is Betsy. So unfortunately this clip isn't too long, but it will give you a good idea of what it looks like on stage. Again, I couldn't really find a lot of the live production because it was only on Broadway for such a short time, but I pulled as many videos as I can of this original production, so I hope you enjoy it.
I like dancing on the pier. I like.
We'll start it over.
I like
Technical difficulties.
dancing on the pier. I like Broadway once a year, but I love Betsy. I like visits to the zoo. I like opera. That's not true, but I love Betsy. It's been 5 years and I'm ready. Get the sparklers and confetti. Give a wink to the waiter and summon the maitre d'. Just like Jay-Z and Beyonce, I will make her my Beyonce. I love Betsy. I love Betsy. I love Betsy. And Betsy loves me.
Oh, so cute. Again, I'm sorry it couldn't be longer. Believe me, I wish it could. But that'll at least give you a little bit. Okay, so I'll show you one more clip. This a number from the first act, and this is from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So this is one of the big numbers in the first act. When you say Vegas, so you'll get to see a little bit more of Tony Danza singing here.
When you say Vegas, you're saying love. You're saying diamond rings and all the things that little girls dream of. You're hearing bells go ring, ding, ding for me and you. In Las Vegas, the land where dreams come true. When you say Vegas, you're saying yes. You're talking Broadway shows, designer clothes, and wow, babe, that's quite a dress. Only suckers go to Foxwoods, get a clue. And come to Vegas, the land where dreams come true. Find the machine and start yanking that lever. Yank that lever. Chases a swell. You'll get lucky for. Flash some cash, snag a front row seat. It's a night that you won't forget. You might be in the desert, kid, but a girl can still get caught junkin'. Hey, when you say Vegas, you're saying, bring it on, bring it on. You're saying, fill my heart with beauty and art. And don't quit before I'm gone. You can see Miss Liza Minnelli, Miss Barbara Streisand, or you can just miss a lazy eye. You're saying, deal me a flush. Hey, sorry, mister. How should I know? It's your sister. I'm cashing your chips and playing the stars above. That's your V-E-G. And that's spelled when you say Vegas, you're saying the sky's always blue. London's too old, Cleveland ain't pretty, and we've got lower taxes than New York City. There's a whole lot of love in Nevada, just waiting for you. So come to Las Vegas. When I say Las Vegas, we'll be in Las Vegas. Land where dreams come true. Come on, Las Vegas.
Alright. Okay. So, again, we end Act 1. They're on their way to Hawaii. Tom is on his way to woo Betsy, and Jack is following them. Alright, so let's start with Act 2 now. So, Jack arrives in Hawaii, and he meets a woman named Mahi. She's a Hawaiian woman who is actually someone that Tommy hired to try and distract Jack from his mission of saving Betsy. So this woman, she tries to seduce Jack, and it doesn't work because, as we've learned, Jack loves Betsy. So then we see Tommy and Betsy. They're spending time together. They're spending time with who Betsy believes to be Tommy's family, his son and his kids, which is actually not the case. They are actors that Tommy has hired to try to give this illusion to her that he's this great family man. Meanwhile, Mahi, Jack and her talk, and she empathizes with him and the struggles that he's going through with Betsy, and she takes him to a place called the Garden of Disappointed Mothers, and there he's able to speak to his mother to try to reverse the curse that she put on him. Now his mother, he eventually gets through to her. She wants him and Betsy to be happy, but first he has to prove that he's a man. That is her condition. In order to reverse the curse and get her blessing to be able to marry Betsy, he has to prove to Betsy first that he's a man worthy of her love. So we'll see where that comes in later. We go back to Tommy and Betsy. They've been drinking for a while, so Tommy and her start talking, and he tells her that Jack's debt to him was only $800, not the $58,000, which it actually is. So Betsy gets very angry. She kisses Tommy, and she decides that she wants to marry him, and she wants him to fly her to Vegas to marry her. Again, she's drunk at this point, she's angry, so that is how she decides to react to that situation. Meanwhile, Jack, he learns that they're on their way out of Hawaii, back to Vegas, and he tries to catch him at the airport again. When he gets there, they've already left, and he's trying to find the next flight accommodations, and unfortunately there's nothing for him that would serve him in the time that he needs. Luckily, he runs into a group of Elvis impersonators who are taking what they call a pilgrimage from Hawaii to Las Vegas. They have their own plane and they're going to be flying there. So Jack gets on board with them. He's excited to go and get Betsy, but he learns that in order to get off the plane that he has to skydive out of the plane, because that is what the Elvis impersonators are doing. So this is very nerve-wracking for him. He's not sure if he's going to go through with it. He's struggling with that decision. Meanwhile, Betsy's sobered up. She and Tom are together. They get to talking, and she's deciding she doesn't really want to go through with this. This was something that she did on a whim. She was angry. She's upset. And as she's talking to Tommy, she starts talking to Tommy's henchman, and she learns from him that the debt was not actually $800, that it was $58,000. So she decides she's not going to go through with it. She rejects Tommy. She goes away from him. And at that moment, Jack has jumped from the plane and he lands into Betsy's arms. And we have our happy ending. They're married right there on the spot. It's a great reunion for the two of them. And we finally see our protagonists get what they've wanted all along, which is to get married. So the clip that I'll show you from the second act is the number called Higher Love. We saw a little bit of it in that clip that I showed you, but this version of it is actually not a Broadway production. It's a different production, but it kind of gives you a good idea of how the number can be staged. In this version, it looks like the audience is surrounding the stage, well, at least on three sides. It's not really clear, but it kind of gives you an idea of the choreography and the big number they can do here. Whoops. Go back.
My nervous shade, my hip, I'm on a beauty suit, probably Hawaii. But I felt it in my guts, in my bones, in my heart, and something just wasn't right. So I got on my knees, I said, Elvis, please, you gotta tell me what you do. I showed down and I had a big voice, said, right, I'm talking to you. And do you feel the higher low? I'm talking about a higher low. All the wishes you've been dreaming of, but you won't know what you're missing if you don't know how to listen. On a higher love, higher love. I got the word from the king above. He said a man ain't a man if he can't feel a higher love. You gotta feel a higher love.
as you see, Jack's character, he joins in with the Elvis impersonators, he jumps off the plane, and he proves he's a man and proves his love for Betsy. So it's a great big happy ending for everybody, except for Tommy, I suppose. Alright, so we got into the plot. I'll talk a little bit about the awards and acclaims. Again, as I said before, it got really good reviews. Again, this is a really, really great show. It was very sad that it didn't do too well in the box office. But I will tell you a little bit about the New York Times, a couple of the New York Times reviews. It called the musical bright and bouncy. It said that it was a real live, old-fashioned, deeply satisfying Broadway musical in a way few new shows are anymore. If you've heard me talk about Jason Robert Brown in the past, you've heard me say that that's one of the things I love most about him, is he really stays true to that classic Broadway feel in his music. His lyrics are incredibly modern, incredibly updated, and that's just one of my favorite things about the way that he writes music. And again, he's complimenting Jason Robert Brown again. He said, the songs seamlessly propel plot and define character in the way numbers did in the heyday of Rodgers and Hammerstein, which I mean, if you know Rodgers and Hammerstein, you know that's probably one of the biggest compliments a composer can receive, is that comparison. So again, this is just Broadway at its finest. It's so classic. It's got the Broadway, the chorus showgirls, as you saw in that one clip. It's got that love story. It's got the characters are so unique, and it's a really fun musical. For awards, it didn't necessarily receive any awards, but it did receive a lot of nominations, so I wanted to share that. For Drama Desk nominations, it got Outstanding Featured Actress for the woman that played the mother, Nancy Opel. Outstanding Music, Outstanding Lyrics, Outstanding Orchestration, and it also received a nomination for Outstanding Sound Design, which those are really good nominations to get for a musical, because I mean that's the heart and soul of it right there. They also got a Drama League nomination for Distinguished Performance, and that was for Rob McClure's performance. That's the guy that played Jack. He's been in a number of other things as well. He was in the musical Something Rotten. If you haven't heard of that one before, I would really love to present that one. That one's really fun. It's a musical about Shakespeare and the fake story of the first musical. That one's a really fun musical. He's also right now starring in Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway, which if you've seen that movie with Robin Williams from a couple years ago, they've turned it into a musical, and Rob McClure plays Robin Williams' character, so that's a fun and exciting one as well, I'm sure. The last clip that I want to show you again is a preview clip, so it's just little pieces of different songs from the musical, shows a couple things that we kind of already saw already, and a little bit of some of the songs we didn't necessarily get to see. So again, I'm just trying to find the best clips for you guys. Wanted to be able to give you a full idea of this musical. Hopefully I did a good job in that. So let me play you this last clip here. This one, a little taste of it all.
She likes hockey, though I swear. She likes guys with thinning hair, and I love Betsy. He loves Betsy. She likes pizza and Chinese, croutons and mac and cheese. God, I love Betsy. He loves Betsy. She likes swimming, writing letters. She likes watching double headers. She likes working at hockey, and he likes Rocky Brady. But the thing that I love best is I love Betsy, and she loves me. 5 years. I've been in love with Betsy for 5 years. I can't believe she stuck with me one time. The love is beyond. Keep someone like her. Forget I said first, the fighters have been enough. Now it's time to grow up, moms in the
Nothing too grand. One little promise from Mom.
Nurse?
No. Here, take my hand. Never get married. That's all that I ask. How can I know that you love me forever unless I'm sure that you never get married? Only because no other woman could love you like your mommy does. You could just toss me in the Hudson, I'll be food for the fish. But don't ignore a mother's dying.
Mom? Mom? Oh, God.
Never get married. That's what I said. Joy laughing and dancing the second time then. 1,000 dreams that never came true, and pipers I had to pay. And all at once I'm standing with you, and everything fades away. The hurts, lonely nights. How could they match your smile? For here you are, the moon in your eyes. You made the way worthwhile.
When you say Vegas, you're saying the sky's always blue. It's too old, Cleveland ain't pretty, and we got nicer hookers in Jersey City. There's a whole lot of love in Nevada, just waiting for you. So come to Las Vegas. What I say? Las Vegas. Lead the way to Las Vegas. The land where dreams come on, Las Vegas. Yeah!
Well, thank you very much for watching, for listening. I hope you got a good enough taste of what this musical is like. I feel like I try to paint the best picture that I can, but this is such a larger-than-life musical. It's full of spectacle and, again, just classic Broadway stuff, you know, which is what I really love about it. Maybe I can do more Jason Robert Brown musicals. Some of those aren't really all that well known, or popular ones that people have seen. Again, any suggestions you could give me would really be helpful. I want to do things that are new to you, but that you're still interested in. So again, any suggestions would definitely be helpful for me. I have a couple things in mind, but I don't really know what everyone's taste is. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, bye.